Cimoooooooo! What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. So today I'm bringing to you a discussion on one of the brand new archetypes coming out of the next deck building set, Secret Slayers, and that archetype is Adamatia. Now, when I first read this, I was so excited because the last few deck building sets we have been atrociously bad in terms of the quality of these archetypes. But Adamatia might be changing things, and I'm really excited to share these cards with you today. So before we get into it, I want to let you guys know that we have the Pro-Play Tour Games Invitational taking place on January 24th and 25th, as well as the 26th, as a matter of fact, because it's a 3-day event. If you don't already have your invite to this $10,000 prize pool event, you can show up on Friday and compete in our 8-man pod LCQs, where all you have to do is, if you can win all the way through the pod, you'll be able to get not only your invite, but a booster box as well, and getting into that $10,000 pool event is going to be one you're not going to forget. So if you haven't already pre-registered, definitely be sure to do that in the links below, and I really hope to see you guys there, because I'll be doing live stream commentary coverage for the event as well. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So we're going to start off with Adamatia Seeker. It is an Earth Rock level 2 tuner effect monster with 1200 attack and 1000 defense. You can only use the 1 and 2 effects of this card's name once per turn each. If you control an Adamatia monster except Adamatia Seeker, you can special summon this card from your hand, and I think the next monster also shares that same clause. The second effect, though, is during your main phase, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if there's a non-tuner level 4 lower rock monster among them, you can special summon one of them. Also place the other cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. So you're literally digging for rocks. That is so cool. I just love the fact that you can look at the top 5. 5 is a lot of cards, by the way, so just keep that in mind. You're going to be probably hitting, depending on how much you build your deck, you know, just heavily dense with rocks, no pun intended, you should be able to hit one fairly consistently, but that's just a very solid effect all around, and it's a very good starter for a deck like this. Now we have Adamatia Researcher, Earth Rock level 2 tuner effect monster, 100 attack, 2100 defense, that's pretty big on a level 2. And again, 2 effects, you can use each one once per turn. It has the same effect where if you control something, you can special summon. I think this one has an Adamatia monster specifically, whereas Adamatia Researcher actually says if you control a rock. So that's rather neat that you don't need to have an Adamatia monster specifically, but rather a rock. But in this case, it's like interchangeable. Just keep that in mind. It is a minor difference though. And again, it has the same exact ability where you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, and if there's a level 4 non-tuner or lower rock monster among them, you can special summon one of them and place the rest on the bottom. And here, it's exactly the same. So these are both rocks. You're just able to dig for rocks. It is so cool. And then you have Adamatia Analyzer. So this one's level 4 instead of being level 2. It's also a tuner effect monster, 1500 attack, 700 defense. If your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card. So that's a pretty, I mean, it's good for going second, but like you're not really going to be using that effect going first. You can still normal summon it though, so it's fine. And during your main phase, you can excavate the top 5 of your deck. If there's a non-tuner level 4 lower rock, you can special summon one of them and place the rest on the bottom. So they all have the excavating effect, and that's going to be very, very useful when you see why that matters, because these are going to be the stones that you're going to be wanting to be digging for. So we have Adamatia Crista Leonite. So it's a fire rock level 4, 0 attack, 2200 defense. It has 2 effects. If it's special summoned by the effect of an Adamatia card, you can place one Adamatia card from your hand or graveyard on top of your deck. So what's cool about this is that if you have another one of your, let's say your excavators here, then you can go ahead and stack your deck with another one of these type of cards to ensure that they're going to hit something. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target a fire synchro monster you control or in your graveyard, return it to the extra deck, and if you do, place this card on the top of the deck. So again, just being able to recycle itself to be used again. If you're going to be going one of the archaeologists into being able to special summon one of these rocks, then right there you have already either a level 6 if it's one of these 2 synchro play, or level 8 if you're looking at the Adamatia Analyzer, so that's pretty neat. Next up, we have Adamatia Crystal Raptite, Wind Rock level 4, 0 attack, 2200 defense. If it's special summoned by an Adamatia card, you can place a rock monster from your hand or graveyard on top of your deck. And then if it's in the graveyard, you can target a wind synchro monster you control, return it to the extra deck, and if you do, place this card on the top of the deck. So what I like about this is that if like one of your synchros is actually already been destroyed, it's better to do it from your graveyard than from the field, because I don't know why you'd want to like reset yourself like that. But I mean, it's pretty good that it's a way to just help recycle these cards and ensure that you're going to hit off the top 5 with these effects. Now we have Adamatia Crystal Dragite, Water Rock level 4, 0 attack, 2200 defense. If it's special summoned by the effect of an Adamatia card, you can draw 1 card, so this is probably the best of the 3. And if it's in your graveyard, you can target a water synchro monster you control or in the graveyard, return it to the extra deck, and if you do, place this card on top of the deck. So same clause as the other 2 stones, being able to put itself back on top, so that's perfectly fine. But the fact that this one draws you cards, this is probably the best of the 3 by far. Now let's get to the synchros, because that's what matters, right? So we have Adamatia Rise Leonite. So it is a Fire Rock level 6 synchro monster, 2400 attack, 2200 defense. It is generic. All of these are generic. You can only use each effect once per turn. During your main phase, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck. If there's an Adamatia card among them, you can add 1 of them to your hand. Also, place the other cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. The second effect reads during your opponent's turn. If there's a fire monster in your graveyard, quick effect, you can target a rock monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So what's cool about this is that depending on if you use the respective stone to summon the monster, or at least if you have the stone in the graveyard for the synchro monster that you've summoned, you get some sort of added bonus, right? Now, it doesn't have to be the stone necessarily, it just happens to make the most sense because it already has the synergy there, but you could have something like, let's say, Ash Blossom in the grave to get the second effect of this one too. Now, the only thing I don't like about this is you can't get the monster special summoned during your turn. It has to be during your opponent's turn, so that's kind of meh. But the thing is, when it comes to excuse me, when it comes to the main phase effect of this, being able to excavate for another 5 and just add another card, it's kind of like another extender, so that seems pretty neat. It also is any card, Adamatia card, so it doesn't have to be just a monster specifically, and that all matters when we get to the spell and traps. Now we have Adamatia Rise Raptite. It's a Wind Rock level 6, synchro, level 6 synchro, 2200 attack, 2800 defense. Again, it is generic. 2 effects. During your main phase, it has the same excavation effect, except this time it's any rock monster to add to your hand, except Adamatia card. So again, this is one of those differences, Adamatia card versus rock monster. There is a lot of overlap, but there are times where it won't, so just bear that in mind. And then during your opponent's turn, if there's a wind monster in the graveyard, quick effect, you can target 1 card in your opponent's graveyard and banish it. So it's like a DD Crow. That's fine. I mean, it's not going to be like game breaking or anything, but it's okay, especially if you're in like a graveyard centric metagame. Now we have Adamatia Rise Dragite. Oh boy. So it's a Water Rock level 8 synchro, 3000 attack, 2200 defense. Again, it's generic, just requires 2 monsters. 2 effects. So the first effect, during your main phase, you can excavate the top 5, and if there's a rock monster among those cards, you can return cards your opponent controls to the hand up to that amount, and place the excavated cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. So if there's any rock monsters in those 5 cards that you excavate, you get to non-targeting return cards your opponent controls to their hand. So extra deck monsters will get spun back to the extra deck. So if you hit like 5 cards off of the top of this, which is doable, by the way, we'll get to that in a bit. Yeah, being able to bounce 5 cards seems pretty nuts. I mean, there's really not much else to say there. The second effect is, if there's a water monster in your graveyard, when your opponent activates a spell or trap effect, quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. So it's got built-in spell and trap negation as well. I feel like monster negation is probably a little bit more prime because, you know, trap negation obviously isn't as relevant. I think spell negation is probably pretty good, but again, for a boss monster, that's really, really insane. The fact you can just blow stuff out going second, and then if you're going first, this can be one of your main plays. What's interesting is that they don't lock you into any specific, like they don't lock you into rocks if you're playing this, right? So I think what's interesting here is that instead of like making this if you're going first, you could potentially just make like Borreload Savage Dragon instead and have a way to actually just get yourself some sort of a better negation instead of going for this. But this card still isn't bad. It's still a very decent boss monster for what it is. Now we have the spell card. So first up is Adamatia Reputite. So it is a field spell. All rock monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense, which is fine. And the second effect is once per turn, you can take 5 Adamatia cards from your deck and place them on top of your deck in any order. Up to 5 Adamatia cards, excuse me. So yeah, that's just ridiculous, because why? The fact that you're able to just take all the cards you want, put them on top of your deck. If you have the dragon out, you can ensure that you're going to hit 5 rocks, so that's absolutely ridiculous for the effect. If you have any of the archaeologists or the excavators rather, you're able to ensure that you're going to hit off of those and have the order stacked specifically how you want it. That's a very, very powerful effect. It doesn't generate you card advantage on its own, but if you have it in tandem with like literally any of the starters, you're going to be able to generate exactly as you're going to be able to generate a lot of advantage just off of that. Next up, we have Adamatia Sign, normal spell card. Target a rock monster in your graveyard. Special summon it in defense position. Then, if you special summon an Adamatia monster by this effect, you can place 1 level 4 or lower rock monster from your deck on top of your deck. Notice how there's no like hard once per turn or anything on this card. You could activate all 3 of these in a single turn if you happen to draw them. That seems pretty good. I mean, a non once per turn monster reborn seems fine to me, but also being able to set up your the top of your deck for your excavators as well, like that is just insane. I think that is a very, very good card. Next up, we have Adamatia Relieve. It's a normal trap. Tribute any of your Adamatia monsters, then target that many cards +1 on the field and destroy them. Pretty good. I mean, targeting and destroying is like probably one of the worst forms of removal, but it's pretty good for back row, being able to just clear out what your opponent may have. It gets stuff in the graveyard, so then you're able to go ahead and just Adamatia sign it back, so it's not like the end of the world. The card is fine. It's just like not like amazing. It's also only searchable, I believe, through Leonite, because the only way I think to search the traps, you can activate the top 5 cards of your deck if there's an Adamatia card. Yeah, I think that's like the only real way to get to him. You can't really search this at the moment. Same thing goes for this counter trap here, which is Adamatia Resonance. So it's a counter trap. If you control an Adamatia synchro monster, when a monster effect is activated, negate that activation if you do destroy it. So this is like the complement to the synchro monster. The synchro monster destroys spells and traps, and this can negate and destroy monster effects. Again, it's fine, but the biggest issue is you can only really search it. It's rather through excavating with your copy of Leonite. Now, you could potentially stack it with Leonite, with Reputite, because you can go ahead and put that on top and then ensure that you're going to search it. But that's like a lot of hoops to jump through just to get one of the counter traps to your hand, when there could just be a way to search it. And then also saying there's a Doki Doki reprint. Doki Doki is actually rather relevant for this deck because it's kind of like a starter in its own right. You can like discard a card and then you get to like special summon a rock that's like the same level and attribute. So if you like discard this, you can summon either this or this from your deck. So like that seems pretty good. Again, it's kind of a hard neg if you get hit by Ash Blossom, but showing that this is going to get reprinted is actually not bad. For this archetype, I mean, overall, the archetype seems like fairly solid, no pun intended. Just the fact that you're able to just go off and spam so easily with this excavation. I love the flavor of this archetype. I love that the cards, like the boss is actually really, really good. It's cool that the boss is generic because you're able to summon it in other decks. Now, you're only going to get the huge, like, big blowout effect if you're playing this archetype specifically, but you can still play it in other archetypes for the spell and trap negation ability. I don't know why you would play that over something like Borreload Savage Dragon. There might be a reason. Maybe like you're not playing Link monsters, so like Savage Dragon doesn't do anything. But I mean, when you look at this archetype as a whole, it actually has like some decent interactions. It's pretty, like, it's got cohesiveness to it, right? Like compared to some other archetypes we've seen of the past, like this archetype actually feels like it can do something. I'm not sure if this is all the cards revealed thus far, but so far from what I've seen, I'm pretty excited. Again, I don't know if there's really going to be anything crazy, but as far as like deck building archetypes go, this is like towards like at least like the middle end, because it's not like absolutely terrible, but it's pretty interesting. I think it's cool to see a pretty flavorful archetype like this, and I really hope that they continue to keep making archetypes like this. And who knows, maybe this will be a sign that we're going to get 2 other good archetypes in Secret Slayers moving forward. We can hope, right? So guys, that's gonna go ahead and wrap up the video. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this archetype. I'd really love to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to like the video as always. Subscribe to the channel for more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content. And if you found this video informative, consider supporting me on Patreon or becoming a YouTube channel member. Because just by showing your support in any way that you can, you're investing in my ability to continue bringing you amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content. So thanks so much again, and we'll see you next time.